Welcome back to So This is Thailand and Expert Advice. Now, do you have any plans to marry a foreigner in the future?
No, I guess the topic of the day is about visas, work permits, and all that kind of stuff. I must admit I don't know a lot about it because since I'm Thai, I didn't have to be concerned. But I'm sure that since you're coming from kind of both sides of the story.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, there are, in any country you go into, there's always benefits for marrying a local, as it were, and obtaining whether it's a kind of a permanent residence or equivalent, and then obviously citizenship in the future. And a lot of people actually look at it in terms of, well, what do their children get? Do they have to choose and things like that? So
it sounds so calculating. I thought it was all about the romance. No?
Well, in the beginning maybe. And then the pragmatism comes in. Well, we've had him on the show before looking at things like work permits, and we've invited him to come back. It is Kun Paradon Suchiwa, who is a legal director at RSM Advisory Thailand Limited. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome, Joanne.
Well, you gave us a lot of good information last time, and I know, work permits and working here in the country is well, it's a whole show in of itself, and I know probably there are many more questions than what we'll get to cover here today. But looking just right off the bat, what are the benefits for marrying a Thai? I mean, let's start off with something like as visas, because I know foreigners really hate the whole visa process here.
Actually, marrying a Thai people has a number of benefits, but we can start with a visa. If you marry Thai, you can apply for a spouse visa or non-immigrant or visa, which will allow you to stay in Thailand for 1 year.
Do you have to, after you get married, do you have to leave and then come back in, or is it something you can do while here in Thailand?
You should apply for the spouse, for the non-immigrant or visa from the Thai embassy overseas, and then come back to Thailand and then renew your spouse visa here at the Thai immigration office.
And is it working, thinking about where you're getting married, do you have to obviously you need to get legally married here in Thailand.
Yep.
If you were married, let's say overseas, you can still come here with the documentation. And
you have to certify your marriage with the Thai authority here.
Why do you do that?
Because you have to show your marriage certificate to the immigration office. You can just go to the district office and just register the marriage here.
Oh, right. Okay. So it needs to be sort of certified here as well.
And I know another big thing when we're talking about all this documentation, all this certification as well, all documents at one point, or if they're in a foreign language, they need to be translated into Thai?
Yes.
And also certified as
certified, notarized and legalized by the Thai embassy and the loyal Thai consulate here.
And there are places, for those who don't know where to get a good translation, there are a lot of places where you can do it and get certified.
For the legalization, you can go to the consulate office on Chang Watana Road, Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
In looking at, I know people are probably thinking about, well, what's the first step that you have to do just so you don't get out of, you don't want to go to one office and then have them say, oh, you need to get this form first and go back to that other office and then you can come back. I know it's happened a lot for work permits. For doing all this extra stuff for the visas and things for when you marry, what's the first thing you should do after, let's say, getting certified or legally married with a Thai?
After you certify all the documents, then you prepare the application and you submit to the Thai immigration office.
And then they'll actually tell you to come back, or how long does that process take?
If you consult your lawyer, then your lawyer should be able to explain the whole process to you before you submit the application. Normally, we assist the client in in preparing the application and submit them on behalf of the client.
So we talked about the conveniences of, kind of not having to renew the visa so often. That's the benefits of marrying a Thai, so to speak. Are there any downsides to, apart from if the relationship breaks down or something? If you do get divorced, would you have to leave the country, or is there anything like that?
If you divorce, you have to get your visa cancelled and you have to leave the country. And if you want to come back, you have to find some other ways to come back here.
Kind of resets everything, doesn't it?
Correct, yes.
Well, that visa's one area. Another area that a lot of people really despise is the work permit.
Yep.
And besides the whole fact of, in the past of having to do that 90-day or check-in are there any benefits for the companies who have hired foreigners who marry a Thai?
Yes, there are some benefits for the company that hire foreigner who marry Thai. The first benefit is that the requirement on the registered capital of the company will be reduced from 2 million baht per one expat to 1 million baht per one expat. Plus, the number of Thai staff will be required will be reduced from 4 staff to 2 staff.
Wow, that's actually a very marked.
It's a good incentive for the employer. Then you can convince them to hire you if you marry Thai.
So you'd be able to put that on your CV out there that you are indeed married to a Thai, and then that's actually some very big benefits there. Makes you want to. If anyone out there is single and would like to take advantage of this, I know that Tara is.
Thanks.
Well, we talked about visas. We talked about work permits as well. Another one I know, at least coming from the U.S., is usually the process in the U.S. if you have a foreigner marrying a U.S. citizen is first you get a permanent resident, and then you're able to apply for citizenship, and then some many years down the road you'll finally get it. Is this about the same here?
It's quite similar here in Thailand, because if you would like to apply for a residential permit or PR, then you must have been in Thailand on spouse visa for at least 3 years before you submit the application. And after that, if you want to apply for Thai citizenship, you must have been on the PR for 5 years.
So if you were single and not married to a Thai, but really loved living in Thailand, you wouldn't be able to apply for PR?
You can apply for the PR under other categories, like the business categories.
And would you still have the opportunity of once, let's say you were getting a permanent residence based on business reasons, after 3 years, would you also be able to apply for citizenship?
Yes. 5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
So in total, at minimum, 8 years.
8 years.
Wow. Now, I'm just trying to do some math in my head. If you apply for permanent residence, let's say you apply for it, how long, I guess, on average, do you know how long it would take to actually get it?
There will be interview process and some examination. Normal process will take between 6 months to 1 year. But after you pass the examination and you wait for the approval process, it can take years.
And so
at least 3 years.
And so the whole deal with getting citizenship after that is that it's starting from the date of you were approved.
You obtain the PR book.
Oh, so it might, if it took you 5 years to get the PR book,
Yep.
It's 5 years from that point on.
Correct.
Oh, just like in the U.S.
Wow.
It can take you a number of years.
So that does take quite a long time to put everything together.
Now, a couple other things left. We mentioned in the beginning of the show that a big part is obviously children are a part of marriage. Some countries you have to choose what citizenship. A child born here in Thailand, are they automatically entitled to Thai citizenship,
Yes.
or do they get citizenship of the foreign parent, or both?
They will be entitled to have a Thai citizenship automatically. Then they may also have the citizenship of your country as well, depending on the local law of your country.
But you would need to actually pursue that at your consulate.
Yes.
Versus they're automatically Thai if they're born here and have a Thai.
You have to notify their birth to the district office and get the birth certificate.
Are there any financial incentives to marrying a Thai? I know when Thais get married, obviously we have deductions that you can do being married or having a dependent as a child. Do foreigners married with Thais also share those same tax benefits?
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Yeah. You can claim a tax allowance from having Thai spouse and children here in Thailand.
Once again, I invite anyone out there who's single. My co-host Tara will be.
So mean.
Tara actually brought up a good point. Are there any downsides to, obviously, beyond obviously the relationship, the love part of it, of the broken heart? Are there any downsides?
The downsides mainly gonna happen to the guys.
What would that be?
Who marry Thai women. Somehow, if you don't choose your spouse carefully, you can easily get ripped off.
Okay.
And you end up getting divorced, and you have to share half of your property to your spouse.
What about if you have a prenup? Is that allowed to happen? Or?
It is, but you know,
Really?
the problem is about how you can enforce it in Thailand, because somehow it's quite difficult to enforce the prenup.
Okay. Well, I know that it's quite difficult for foreigners to own land here. It's difficult to buy land. So, are there any advantages if you were married to a Thai
Not
of
really.
having land ownership?
Not really, because if you have a Thai wife and you can still not own land anyway. And if your wife owns land, she has to prove that the money that she spent for buying the land is not yours money.
Wow. So no benefit if you're trying to get through a loophole. There's absolutely no benefit
No
for
benefit, because the land law is pretty strict.
Wow.
Well, there you go. You should be getting married for the right reasons.
Now, obviously, you know, we are talking about whether a foreign woman marries a Thai man, or whether a foreign man marries a Thai woman. I know there's probably, you know, one of those is probably more common that we find. Are there any, I guess, foreign laws that you know of, whether, let's say, you're American or you're British or you're Australian or you're Russian or you're Japanese, do any of those foreign countries have any additional requirements that you're aware of that people would have to be aware? No?
No.
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward, yep.
See how easy it is? One of my last questions is, for all of these, the work permits, the visas, the permanent residence, I know a lot of foreigners out there, they really hate these 90-day check-ins, or the having to exit the country to come back in to do renewal. Does this also take care of that? Do they can stay within the country, not have to worry about having to go back out and come back in?
Only if they have a PR, then they don't have to worry about their visa. Actually, after they got the PR, they can just give up their visa, and they don't even have to do a 90-day report of their stay in Thailand. They can only do a re-entry permit. Oh.
Well, that brings up two more questions. Looking at, number one, the re-entry permit. So even if you do have a PR, if you're leaving the country,
you still need to have a re-entry permit, multiple entries.
And if you don't, then what happens?
Then your PR can be cancelled easily.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it always this tough in other countries as well, or is it just kind
other
of here?
Other countries may
that
be more strict than our country.
Really?
Actually.
Wow, yeah, because like you get so many complaints and people are like, oh, I have to, do a visa run again, this and that. But it seems like it's very difficult here, but actually that's not the case. It's the same everywhere.
It's the same, yes.
For those, is this something that you recommend that people, foreigners and their Thai spouses can do by themselves, or do you really need to have a lawyer or someone there helping you do it?
You should have a professional lawyer to assist you throughout the whole process.
Otherwise, any little mistake along the way, and that could really
Otherwise, you're going to waste your time.
Are there any, I know we didn't talk much about this, but are there any, what are the fees associated with it? I mean, is there a fee for applying for the work permit or changing the work permit? Is there a fee for getting a permanent residence, a fee for applying for citizenship?
Oh, they got a huge government fees. If you would like to apply for a PR, like 190,000 something baht.
Wow, that's even more than in the U.S.
Yeah, even more than U.S. Yep.
Is it a one-off fee, or?
It's a one-off fee, yes.
Unless your PR gets revoked.
you don't get the money back.
Unless you want to give up your application, because actually some of the applicants they just gave up their PR application because it took too long.
Oh, right.
Wow. And that's, I guess, well, understanding, especially for people I know, at least using the U.S. as an example, it can take, as you mentioned, it can take years. And so people kind of lose the incentive to do it. For people who would like more information, have some more questions, I know we weren't able to cover everything that we talked about today, and I'm sure there's some situation-specific things. How can they contact you?
They can contact me by email. Yep.
And or go to our
website, www.rsmthailand.com.
Excellent. You have people there.
My email address is on there.
Excellent.
On the website.
Well, Khun Paradon, thank you for joining us once again. I know this is well, the one thing, the work permit sounds great for the companies. Sounds great for people getting married, especially for the permanent residents and the visa benefits. Just make sure, as with anything in life, that if you are going to marry, make sure it's for the right reasons. Absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining us
You're
today.
welcome.
And do stick with us. We'll be right back on So This is Thailand.
So now we come to another beauty of Phum Rieng. This is silk.
This is, and we are at the Thai woven silk village in Ban Phum Rieng. This village is very old. They established the Thai silk woven approximately about 60 years.
After the World War II.
That's right.
Why they are so good at silk weaving?
Because in this village they are Muslim, and also the weaver, they have creative their own style of the pattern of the clothes.
I see.
And also it's very good one, because you know, very glittering silk and cotton.
Oh, so both they put the glitter, silver and gold
Yes.
into it, so they do their own style. So from the workshop, so now we come to the showroom, and you can see so colorful, and I enjoy shopping so much.
Very
you
much.
said that there are the special patterns.
Yeah,
so
their
please
own
give me the
patterns
name.
of the Thai silk.
Yes.
I will show you the first one in my hand. Okay, this we call Rajawat pattern. This is
Special,
the
huh?
most popular in here.
I
And the
see.
second is Dok Mali pattern.
Dok Mali,
Or
it's
jasmine,
jasmine.
yes.
Oh, look like jasmine. Yeah.
And the last one that I would like to show you is very nice, called Dok Pikun pattern.
Yeah. Another kind of flowers pattern
Yes.
called pikun.
And another local product is very interesting in Ban Phum Rieng. This is the hat.
Yeah.
That's made from the water glass,
Oh, that's
especially
very nice.
at here.
Yeah, and they weave it here.
Yes.